Okay, and we're back. Not sure what happened right there. We had everything go down. So we'll see if everybody comes back to join us. We'll give it just a minute. Um, but I'm not exactly sure what went down at that moment. Round two, that's right. Uh, all right. Welcome back. Yeah. the That's been happening a lot out here. The internet out in this area is not fantastic to begin with, and with everybody home, where it's getting overworked and we're crashing out every once in a while. So we are back. The return of the internet, people. Fantastic. Uh, let's all stay indoors. Absolutely. Will companies be forced to shut down? I don't know that that's the right way to say it, but kinda. um, that's right. We can work it out. Survival like defense from aggressive people. Um, if you do everything else right, people are the least of your concerns. Uh, but DSL high speed out here, we don't have fiber out here. uh, Sometimes I think people misunderstand. Like when I say out in the sticks, I mean out in the sticks. So, uh, yeah. Is it safe to go to the liquor store? I mean, probably, sure, but I mean, take all the precautions you're supposed to, but you shouldn't be drinking anyway because it lowers your immune system. Uh, Wonder if I'll be able to afford a house after this. Maybe, um, like Ebro, yeah, like that out there. That's for those for those that don't know the area. Ebro is one of those towns that is just way out there. Yeah, so like Ebro, but I actually live outside of a town like Ebro. That's yeah. Uh, Thank you, Phil. uh, let's see. Do, do, do. As a Florida man, what's your thoughts on saving the Florida ecosystem? Will this have any effect on it? I think so. I think that we need a break from the tourists to kind of let it recoup. I'm watching what's happening in major cities um, with the travel and everything down. It's having a very quick it's having a lot of success very quickly, and I think that that may be something we need here. I think that might help out. Um, Venice is loving it. Yeah, yeah, the canals and everything, and I'm thinking that needs to happen here because a lot of people come down here. They don't really understand a lot of the ecosystem. They do stuff like walk on the dunes, and yeah, here's a public service announcement from those of us down here on the Emerald Coast. Don't walk on the dunes, like ever. Like unless you're talking about a life-threatening scenario, do not walk on the dunes. Your footprints will be there for like 50 years. Um, just just stay off the dunes. Um, what's happening with spring break? It's over. As near as I can tell, they're closing beaches and they're sending everybody home because they tried to do the suggestion thing and nobody was following the suggestions. Um, and now, uh, w- the United States, we're having a lot more people of younger ages. Our percentages are higher, probably due to our overall health. Who's pushing the Earn It Act? I believe it is Lindsey Graham and Senator Blumenthal. Bipartisan support. And anytime something is bipartisan and aimed at your rights, you better be worried. Um, Been watching this instead of going to get groceries. Someone tell me to stop being lazy. Do you need groceries? Can you make it a month? Because if not, stay home. Um, oh yeah, Melody Campbell. I feel you. I find it funny how my teenage son never left his room growing up, and now that we're making him stay in, he wants to go out. Exactly. It's there's a lot of people that they never go outside. Now the government's like, you guys need to stay home. And they're like, well, now that you tell me to, I'm not going to do it. Um, uh, Still watching the chat from the earlier video. It's off. What? Like that's still running? Well, that's cool. Um, if there's any good questions, let me know. Uh, let's see. I fart magic. Hi and happy birthday. Thank you. Yes, yes, it is my birthday. Um, what do you think of mandatory shutdown in major cities, not permitting them to leave their homes? On an ideological level or the level of after watching people this week just be um, on an ideological level, people should be staying home anyway. They should be socially responsible unless you have a very, very good reason for going out. Don't. Um, and and people aren't doing it. It's upsetting to me. I am disappointed. This is my disappointed face. Thank you, Mark Davis. Uh, is your garden organic or do you use pesticides and fertilizers? It is organic in the sense that I don't use pesticides and I don't use fertilizers. However, I totally grow non-heirloom stuff. um, so, uh, let's see. Thank you, Do Love. Um, thanks for your daily videos. Do you think a shelter in place order will be issued nationwide? Maybe. Um, I definitely think they're already suggesting it, and if people don't abide by that, yeah, it'll turn into an order. Grow with the flow. Do you think this is the start of the collapse of the U.S.? No, I think the start happened a while ago. No, um, I think that this could be either the beginning of the end of the United States' supremacy, or it could be the beginning of a shift that takes us to a higher level, and it's up to us. Um, you're not as smart as you think you are. All right. Do you think the U.S. will postpone the general election if the virus continues? Probably not. I don't think that'll happen. Um, because the end result of that, it isn't Trump stays president. That's well, at least not that's not how it's supposed to work. Um, we have continuity of government plans, and Trump wouldn't be in 'em. So I don't think that he would move to scrap the election. I think I read somebody that went through and did it, and I believe it's Leahy that becomes president, a Democrat from the Northeast. Um, let's see, growth flow. What does that higher level shift look like? People over profits. If you wanted to put it in short term, um, I would say organizing around production and making things better rather than extraction and war. Uh, have I ever heard of a resource-based economy? Yes. Yeah. Um, when we start hitting the harder, I don't want to say harder, the more specific ideologies and the more specific means of doing things, I'm going to leave that to other people. Um, thank you, cool granddaddy sweets forever. I love your screen names. Um, I when it comes to getting into the hyphenated stuff, I try to avoid it, because for a lot of people, just the ideas that are discussed here, um, they're new, and when you got to give information time to digest, and if you go from we have this representative democracy, capitalist oriented, war and production oriented society, and then you jump straight to we're going to run it ourselves and and we're not even going to have money. You freak people out. So I try not to do that. But let's see. Do I think people not heeding recommendations to stay indoors doesn't bode well for me? Yeah, it's a little disappointing, but I never was under the delusion that we were there yet anyway. I always knew that we're a long way off from that. We have to build towards it. It's a goal to work towards. It's not something that's going to happen in my lifetime. So I would say that I thought we were closer than we are, but but I don't. I, I'm not discouraged by it. We just got to work harder. Um, do I think that a resource-based economy is a good idea if people had all the information about it? I think that when it comes to organizing, once we get to that level, when we're talking about our economy, it's going to be mixed, highly mixed, incredibly mixed. um, I think as we advance, I think what you will end up probably seeing is local communities operating under almost completely socialist uh, um, economy, and then within themselves, like communities trading with each other, operating more on a market-based mutualist type thing. Um, that I think that's probably where we'll end up, but I'm very open to other ideas on that. I yeah, yeah, warmer weather hasn't had the effect that some scientists had hoped. Yeah, that's true. I didn't hold out a lot of hope for that, uh, to be honest. I I watched it go through in Southeast Asia, and like I watched the numbers. I didn't see that as something that was going to happen, but it does appear as though that's where we're at. You live on the Redneck Perdido, over on Perdido Key. I'm assuming nice area. Uh, Lauren Wagstaff, thank you. I'm getting a paycheck and will for the foreseeable future. If I get a government check, what should I do? Save it, spend it locally, give to food banks. That's entirely up to you. Um, that is entirely up to you. I would, depending on where you're at, I might find a way to put it to use for other people because there are going to be people who are in dire straits right now. Wow, thank you, Kelly W. Um, Do you think healthcare reform will be more accepted after this coronavirus pandemic? Absolutely. I absolutely think that this is a turning point because there's a whole bunch of people who have insurance that are like, wait, these people they can't get help even if they want it, and then they're going to infect me. And in the U.S., we need self-interest at times. Um, thank you for your opinion. I hope you realize uh, that people do value. Yeah, yeah. That's a little unnerving at times, to be honest. Um, Laz from Budapest. Thank you for your videos. Full lockdown soon in and or in Hungary. Can you imagine a run on the banks? How's the mood in your area? I don't see it here, out here, but out here we we have a lot of barter out here anyway. um, so I don't know. I do not know. I'm not sure on that. And most people out here have a small pile of uh, old junk silver coins and stuff like that, just because it's the way people are. So it's just the way we are out here. A lot of people don't have money in the bank, right? There is that. Um, just released from hospital quarantine, waiting 3 days for my test results to come back. I'm negative, but in liver failure. Well, that's mixed news. Oh man. Uh, how likely do you see a financial depression happening? I think we're heading into a recession, and we may hit a technical depression, which is really just a long, long recession. Um, I don't think that we're talking about, you know, the 19. I don't think we're going to get that bad. But I could be wrong. Economics is not my strong suit. But historically, when you're talking about something like this, we can bounce back really quickly if we choose to. So we'll see. Harpoon lobotomy. Thank you. Checking in from the UK. Coronavirus bill looks to massively increase government power with minimum oversight. Yeah, the government will never waste a crisis. They will always try to increase their own authority, which had they just used the authority they had initially, we wouldn't be in this mess. But we are way overdue for a major depression. Great. um, let's see. All right. So I've got to ask, you know, thank you, Joe Jacobs. Um, I got to ask if there's anything that you guys would like more in these live streams, because I do foresee them happening more often um, during this period. Part of it just to keep myself occupied, and part of it because I've had people say that it's calming to feel part of a community when you can't go anywhere. So, and I don't mind being the catalyst for that. But if there's anything that you guys want more of, please put it in. Talk about growing your own food. Have you ever seen Dr. John Campbell on YouTube? And if so, can you give him a shout out? Yeah. Um, in fact, in the last live stream that got interrupted, the doc I was talking about was Dr. Campbell. Um, so, and again, I understand his theory, but that's something people are going to have to make on their own. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the live stream is up. I think it was pretty early on. It should be up for public viewing now. Um, let's see. Could we get some dancing girls? I don't know that that would really go with my channel theme, to be honest. Hey, can we see your dogs? Destro, he's asleep. He's just staring. He's just laying there. Yeah, I'll get him over here at some point. Uh, can we get some dancing boys? Wow, that was not. Those were unexpected requests. Thank you, Alden. What do you think of the oil war or oil prices? More wars? I don't know. I have no idea what's kind of like the whole economy, which is a lot of the basis for our wars, is in flux right now. So I think that we'll work. I don't know that we're until the economy starts to stable. We're probably not going to start any new wars. So there is that. Until we start to stabilize. There's that as a there's that as a you get another dog, will you name him Zartan? Yeah, I actually told my wife that our next batch of dogs will be Zartan, Zorana, Buzzer, Torch, all of those characters. That's a thing. Um, and she was down with it, which I thought was cool. Um, so can we get dancing dogs? Thank you, Magi. I've recently come across your channel and was wondering what your thoughts are on what are your thoughts on getting involved in the local elections? What do you think the impact would be in comparison to strengthening your community? Um, I would focus on strengthening your community because here's the reality. If you strengthen your community, they will probably get involved in local elections anyway. um, However, if you just focus on local elections, if you lose, it's over. If you get involved and you strengthen your local community and you build those networks, they get involved in local elections. Even if they lose, you still have the community network. Um, s- how many dogs do you want to have? A lot. um, yeah, I would imagine in the near future, in the next year or two, we'll probably have 5 or 6 big dogs. Do you keep chickens or rabbits, goats? There's let's see, we've got horses. We have okay, so we have rabbits, but we don't really keep them. They just live over in this little thicket near the lemon trees. Thank you, Switchback Image. uh, More seriously, have you heard about Tesla, South America, the lithium becoming a new oil, same as it ever was? Yeah. I am hoping, uh, hoping that it will be done in a different manner than the oil pursuits were. Uh, what kind of dogs do you have? German Shepherd and Husky. Name name the survival manual for tomorrow, please. It literally is just survival. FM 21-76. You can download these for free. I think they're at archive.org. Uh, do I feed the bunnies on the? Yeah, a little bit. Thank you, Soren. The Prezard. Can you make a video on your critiques of a resource-based economy after your research? Maybe. I don't know. Um, Again, I try not to get too. I try to talk about the practical applications of various theories, so you may see them work their way in. But uh, most of the people who've signed up for this channel are not here to be lectured about theory. Um, so if I can find a way to talk about it in a practical aspect, yes, I probably will. Um, Magic's long. If a family can scrape by on one income, do you think the lower wage earners should take time off of work or make the extra money while they can? I don't know. That is, see, there's so many like additional questions to that. Define scrape by, like barely make it, or if the other person continues to work for a couple of months, can they uh, can that get you a little cushion in case the other person loses their jobs? And are you talking about in general or during this quarantine? Like, because right now, unless you have to go, stay home. But like everybody. Um, and I'm hoping that we will get news about the emergency stimulus soon, the helicopter money. Russia has not reported cases. Yeah, that's probably true. I don't think they are. Um, what makes you an expert on every topic? I'm not. I am not. I only have a few areas of real expertise, and I stay within those lanes. Anything else I'm relating back to that, or I am relaying the research of other people. Please repeat where I can download the survival guide. I think it's on archive.org. I'll tell you what to do, and this is actually something that is useful in a lot of ways. Google or DuckDuckGo, whatever, for free uh, free download U.S. Army field manuals. That's what the FM stands for. Field manual. Thank you, beautiful butterfly. The and you will get a giant list, and I'm pretty sure it is archive.org that has it. But you will get a giant list running not just survival, but the individual tasks books. You'll get stuff on NBC and Seaburn. You'll have all of that because all of that stuff is it's not copywritten, so you can download it all. And that would be good. Yeah, I mean that would be good reading at least while you're stuck at home. Um, Scutari, thank you. Happy birthday, love from California. Hope you and yours stay healthy and safe. Me too, and I hope all of you guys stay okay. Um, who are some of your favorite content creators? I don't know. See, when I do that, then people, no. So let's see. I watch Reeducation, the Surfs, the people you've seen on this channel, actually. I watch epic rap battles for fun. Um, let's see. Yeah, I don't. Has American Johnson been on here? I think he has. Thought Slime, somebody else that I like to watch. Um, what sort of measure do you think will be taken with our homeless communities? I don't know. I don't know. And that's a real worry on a whole bunch of levels. Um, thank you, Ron Floyd. Uh, that's a worry on a whole bunch of levels because you've got the practical aspects of you understand that if you just leave these people out there on their own and it gets into them and it gets into those communities, it's going to keep popping up, and that should actually be a really high should be a high priority to help them from a control standpoint. We're taking morality out of this for the moment. From a control standpoint of you're trying to limit and control this contagion. Once it's in their community and it's getting spread around, and these people do not have addresses and they're moving around, it's bad for everybody. It should be a high priority. And then you have the moral aspects of they're people and we should help them. But lately, the moral aspects have not been selling people very well. So, um, thank you, Phil. Does the lack of ventilators concern you? Yes, it does. However, I am hoping that we're going to. I think that the release of the stockpiles, like I said, I know we've got like 1,000 ventilators coming to Florida from DoD, and I think that that's happening in a lot of places. It's still not going to be ideal. It's not going to be enough, and hopefully there will be more in production. If we can flatten the curve, and basically it's the same number of people getting infected, but we're spreading it out over a longer period of time, the respirator issue won't become a problem. It will be manageable. Thank you, LEG. This is a first for me, commenting publicly. It is my pleasure to support you. Thank you so much for all you do, Bo. Thank you. Thank you. Um, thank you. Here in Ohio, they will begin releasing some prisoners. I think they've kind of done that in a lot of places, low key, like non-violent people. Uh, get out. Like they don't want they don't want the risk. They don't want the liability. So they're trying to do it. Uh, trigger one identity. Learn to take compliments. Yeah, I'm bad. I don't know what to say. That's I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. Really not good at that. I am much better at responding to people who are like, "Hey, I hate you," um, than I am people who are like, "Hey, you do good work." Um, uh, let's see, Las Vegas or Los Angeles is feeling like a ghost town. Nobody on the roads. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine there are a lot of places that are that are looking that way. Um, most of us are here because we like you. Thank you. Uh, Yeah, even the mall's closed today. Yeah, okay, so relatively close to me, there's a town called Destin, Florida. It is a major tourist destination. Some of the larger um, attractions there, like there's a thing called Silver Sands, which is this massive outdoor, well, it's not outdoor, this massive outlet mall, basically, and it is a huge attraction and it never closes. Like, I mean, it's up and running after the hurricane, like almost immediately, and they're shut down. I think that was one of the things around here that made everybody go, "Oh, that's serious now." um, when's the next movie watch party, and can you pick a comedy? Soon, maybe tonight. I don't know. And yeah, I'll try to do a comedy. I'm hoping that Shaun of the Dead is on Netflix. Um, because that's funny and it's kind of fitting. So uh, Scuzzy for Prez. I'm honestly shocked at how well behaved your chat is. Um, uh, I'm very happy with the audience that I have like found. Like there's not a lot of trolling. There's not a lot. I'm really happy with it. So yeah, Waffle Houses are still open for the moment. At that moment, that's that's when everybody should be in NBC suits when the when Waffle House is closed. Mhm. Hot Fuzz is the superior film. What was the other one? End of the World or something like that, where they're trying to make it to the the pub. Uh, Monomer, thank you. Do you think that the elevation of must type thought leaders is the creation of a community on the part of that person, or more the endowment of authority and creation of an unjustified hierarchy? Whew. Um, I think it depends on how it's used. Um, man, that's a question right there. Thank you, Abby. Uh, The World's End. That is the name of the movie. But back to that other question, I think it has a lot to do with how it's used. If I have an issue with people who attempt to exploit the, their audience, especially in times of crisis. Um, I'm happy in a way to watch what's going on in far right circles right now because these people, a lot of them have always been grifters, and this current situation is exposing them to their audience as that. They've always exploited them, and but now it's becoming more apparent, and I'm happy to see that happening. Um, so let's see, how can we get in touch with you? Yeah, Facebook and Twitter. Twitter is a more immediate way to get a hold of me than Facebook. Um, so let's see, Alex. Hey, Bo, love your content. What are your thoughts on interracial couples? There is some anti-mix tension in my area from right-leaning individuals. um, I one of the quotes that got the right wing so mad at me is that I cannot wait until we all intermarry and we all end up looking like Filipinos or Brazilians. Um, I am all in favor of it. I don't. People are always going to resist change. People are always going to want to try to have that tribal instinct and all of it. It's garbage. Um, it's it depends on how you're looking at it. There are some that want to preserve their cultural identity. Fine, but your cultural identity isn't your skin tone. It's your practices. It's your ways of thought. It's not your skin tone. Um, and what whatever. I mean, yeah, I try to keep it clean on this on this channel, but yeah, they you could tell them to kick rocks, to put it nicely. Um, let's see, Bird H. Thank you. Tuesday really ratcheted up my anxiety about increasing voter suppression. Thanks for balancing political concerns with direct community assistance. Um, Community assistance is much more important. Um, the elections are the elections. Um, the- if elections were as valuable as we like to make them out to be, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in, because we wouldn't have um, the problems that we currently do. Are we going to run out of food? No, no, there is no food shortage. It's a distribution issue, and it will be worked out. That's one thing I want to keep hammering on. There is no food shortage, because that is one thing that can cause panic and can cause real unrest. So there is no food shortage. Um, and that's not to say you don't care about elections. It's that your immediate circle, your immediate community is more important, because if that is strong, it doesn't matter what those people um, in DC do. It doesn't matter what the people in your state capital do. You know, the king's law is everywhere, but the village runs itself. Um, so it can be ignored. So I would strongly suggest working on your community more. Toilet paper. Yeah. Again, people are talking about the food issue. We have we have plenty of food. That should not become an issue anytime soon. It would take a while for that to really manifest. So I just and we need to stay calm, and that shouldn't come up until it does, because that's one of those things that can make people freak out. Mutual aid will get us through. Speaking of which, and it's funny because apparently everybody knew this but me, and Teen Vogue ran an article on mutual aid the other day. And I was like, wow, did not see that coming. And apparently they've been like that for a while, running tangible articles like that. And and, and, and my wife was like, you shouldn't beat yourself up for not knowing that they've been that way for years. You're not really their target demographic. But what happens when you don't have money to buy food? Yeah. Um, I'm hoping the economic stimulus comes through, because if it doesn't, then we are going to have a problem with that as well. Um, and yeah, it's a major concern for a lot of people. It is a major concern for a lot of people, and that's why my if there's one thing the federal government can do right now to help a lot of people, it's stop negotiating over the amount and put cash in hands immediately. And if you can always come back and do it again if you didn't get enough, you know. um, but it needs to start happening now. What gives you hope? What gives me hope? Um, being in horrible situations before and realizing it's not that bad, and that overall, anytime you are in a horrible situation and you are in bad straits, you will always find people willing to help. That gives me hope. Uh, how can working on community help with Green New Deal? There's nothing stopping your community from enacting certain aspects of that on their own. Um, yeah, some of it is a national level thing, but I mean, there's a whole lot. Yes, I read the chat. There's a whole lot that can be done on your own. Let's see. Let's see. How old are your kids? Are they handling well? I have a bunch of kids, varying ages, from two to well, in the house from 2 to 14, 15. Um, they're the younger ones don't know. They don't know what's going on. Um, and my my oldest son is he's gone to cover events with me even as like 12. So he's got a pretty good handle on it. He's handling it pretty well. Uh, hide the junk food. Yeah, absolutely. Been wondering for a while, where are you economically speaking? I lean left, but it's not even really that hard of a lean. However, because I'm so far down on the authoritarian libertarian spectrum, it seems like I'm incredibly far left. Um, should the Red Cross be destroyed or destroyed? That was Freudian. Should the Red Cross be deployed? Um, I will tell you that from my experience dealing with them in the past, they're not really that effective. So I I don't really care, to be honest. Yeah, I had more trouble with the Red Cross working in the aftermath of Harvey than just about anything else. So you don't have enough people at home adopt me. Let's see. Oh, yes, the Red Cross should be destroyed. Yeah, that's yeah, I could see that clip getting used over and over again in the future. Um, uh, Florian, please explain the problems we have with the Red Cross. Okay, so it has to do with the fact that they're a large organization and they have a top heavy bureaucracy. And what they try to do is because they have money, they try to bring in resources that were actually came from somewhere else. They do a lot of co-opting of existing projects during times of emergency, and most times they make it worse. Um, I I actually may bring somebody on and do an interview about that who had a lot more direct face-to-face contact than I did. I just tend to avoid and ignore, and a lot of it is compounded by the government saying, "Oh, make sure you use Red Cross," which then gets down to law enforcement as, "Oh, well, are you with Red Cross? No, then you need to go." Well, no, I'm actually with this other NGO or this other aid group or whatever, and it causes a lot of issues. In emergencies, there's not a lot of time for a top-heavy bureaucracy. Natasha Nix, is anyone watching out for the safety of the prisoners? Yes, some are being released. That's a thing. Um, so we'll see how that plays out. There are a whole lot of people who are being released on nonviolent stuff that are in jails and just they're just sending them home. Josh Lynch, does a pandemic prove that we need to stay? No, it doesn't. It proves the reactions of people has proved to me that we are further away from where I thought we were. Um, Random nobody. The people acting like Bernie was our only hope need to buy mirrors. There, they will find the solution. Yeah. Um, let's see. We've been behaving as a failed state with this pandemic. So, I mean, that's kind of true. I mean, in a lot of ways, yeah, that's true. Um, but there's been a lot of good leadership too from the state and local level. I don't want to I don't want to downplay that. We've had a lot of people make good moves at the local and state level, and I think that those moves uh, I think they probably saved lives, and those people will never get the credit they deserve. Um, Heard about COVID-19 in Russia. Um, it does appear that there's a couple of cases, but I think there were, and they just weren't reporting it. But non-GMO should not be a thing you obsess over. Yeah, I'm not. um, I've yeah, it's not something that I focus on too heavily at all, to be honest. In fact, I'm one of those. There's a some blueberry and blackberry bushes called bushel and barrel that are, yeah, they're GMO, like they're patented GMO type. They're great as far as landscaping and stuff like that. And I know there are people that have concerns about it. I'm one of those people that I'll be the test dummy for that. Um, oh, that wasn't aimed at me. Well, it was a earlier topic, something that we talked about earlier. Um, so yeah, GMO is that it could be as simple as crossbreeding, or it could be a full on scientific process that occurs in a lab and all of this stuff. So the term itself needs some refining, but I will tell you that I have plants out here that are uh, they are the type that they use the little gun and shoot the shoot the stuff into. Um, it's not something I'm terribly concerned with. Yeah, now Roundup, on the other hand, no, I don't use it. I don't use pesticides at all. That that worries me a whole lot more than something being GMO. Um, corn is a GMO. Most, most, almost all that you've eaten, probably. Um, let's see, Doyle St. Louis. Thank you. Uh, okay. Any thoughts on things like power generation and other utilities on the community level, and how to deal with government regs to prevent things like rainwater collection? Okay. Um, figure out how to answer that tactfully. Most, most of the type of power generation that people would want to install, um, it's actually really simple. If you have the components, it is incredibly simple. You don't need a lot of outside expertise to do that. You can read it. You can read it online and figure out how to do it. And you could theoretically install it yourself if you needed to. Um, as far as rainwater collection, I where I'm so far out that, like, if I wanted to put in a 10,000 gallon pond, like, I don't need a permit. That's how far I'm away. So I'm not familiar with the with the regs on collecting rainwater. Um, so I can't really speak to that, but I would imagine that that's something done at the local level, and it can be undone at the local level. And if it's not at the local level, it could probably be ignored. But over a rain barrel, yeah, catch me. Uh, like that, no, that's not something that we even we even have around here. Um, so the bots are back. Great. It's okay. I actually have to wind this down, but we will be back on in around 9 p.m. Central. I'm going to be back, and that was the one that's actually scheduled. Um, and during that, we will If you show up, the first few minutes, we're going to cover all the stuff with the gas mask and the survival book and all of that stuff again. And then we're going to talk about EDC kits because that's another question I'm getting a lot about. I've got one here that I'll open up and everybody can look and see what it is and what's inside of them. Have a great birthday. I am having a great birthday. Thanks to you guys. I have something to do. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And I will try to get at least one of the dogs to come over here and say hi. Anyway, y'all have a good night. It's just a thought.